Today I'm going to demonstrate a new technology to replace username and passwords that's labeled SQRL, which stands for Secure, Quick, Reliable Login. It's a new technology developed by Steve Gibson at grc.com. So like I said, this is a new technology to do away with usernames and passwords. So let me ask, how many of you use the same password on every website? I bet a lot of you do, some of you don't, and the ones that don't probably use something like LastPass. Now you got to use LastPass simply to just remember all of the unique passwords on every website that you have an account for. You need that because you can't remember them, and they got to be unique. So Secure, Quick, Reliable Login, or SQRL, does away with that. And you can either use it on your iOS device, your iPhone, your Android device, or on a desktop computer. I don't have an iPhone, and the Android version is still a little bit out of date. It hasn't been brought up to current, and so today I'm just going to demonstrate the Windows version using Windows 7 Home Premium. So if we look down next to the clock, we have that little cute little squirrel, and I'm betting that icon's going to change, but at the moment in development, here it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a brand new SQRL login, and we're going to play with it and test it, and then we're going to re-import it back in, showing you the ins and out of SQRL. Now in this process, I'm going to be showing you my QR code, my recovery code. This is basically just going to be a throwaway account I don't even care about, just for this demo. So let's start by creating a brand new identity. Oh, come on. Let's see. Don't show me this message again. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and click Next. And we're going to go ahead and say Create an additional identity. Now, what's the name? Now, this name is nothing special. All this name is something to display in a list of identities if you had a whole bunch of them. You could call it Santa Claus, you could call it whatever you want. We're just going to call this one YouTube. Next. Now this is a rescue code that you would use if you lost control of your identity, or if you simply want to bring your identity back in, like import it into a brand new computer. You need this recovery code. So let's go ahead and display it. Now, for obvious reasons, or for not so obvious reasons, this has to be stored off your computer. You either write it down, you print it, but you do not store this code on your computer. I would actually recommend putting it in a safety deposit box if you have one. This is what prevents your account from being stolen. You have a master password, which if anybody gets is worthless unless they bind it with this recovery code and some other stuff to import your account onto their machine. Otherwise, the password's useless. So you don't want this on your machine. So print it off. In this case, I'm not going to print it off because this is just a throwaway account. You can see it right here. It's going to be a throwaway. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and write it down, because my printer's all the way downstairs. I don't really want to go downstairs. And so obviously some people might be like, okay, yeah, I wrote it down. So you click Next. He's like, okay, prove it. So we're going to go ahead and type in the recovery code to prove that some people still might just save it in a text document and save it on their computer. And if their account gets hacked and stolen, that's their own fault. They were warned. Okay, we now verify that we wrote it down like we should and that it's off the computer. Now, we have to go ahead and give this account a password. Every time you use your SQRL ID, you have to type in a password. Now, this one should be really, really safe. But there again, I'm not going to make it super, super big because there again, I'm using it as just a YouTube test profile on SQRL. So he actually shows you how strong it is. I'm just going to type in, and kids, don't try this at home. I'm just going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there again, he knows I'm using that. So don't do that. He won't even let me go past. So let's try something else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 3 asterisks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There again, he knows I'm creating a really horrible password. So let's write again. Computers are cool. I'm going to write that down so don't forget it. Computers are cool. Obviously, verify it. That's way heavy. Okay, so computers are cool. Okay, yeah. So all we got to do now is set a new password. There we go. Next. So now we got to actually back up or export our identity out of this computer. Whether we display a QR code that we would then take a picture with our camera and store somewhere, stored on a file on a USB thumb drive, or print the identity. I would actually just recommend printing the identity. Now, I'm going to go ahead and print it to cute PDF and save it as a PDF file on my computer, which nobody should ever do. But for this demo, I want to actually show you what is on this printed identity. So let's go ahead and open it up. So what you see here is the QR code. This is something that you would, when you want to import it, you would hold up to the camera and it would take a picture of it. And that would prompt you for your password. And this one does not require the recovery code. It's actually embedded in the image. But let's just say you don't have a camera, you have to hand enter it. Then you have to enter this gobbledygook thing of text. And this does require the recovery code. So after you type in all this, it says please enter that recovery code that you should have wrote down. And then after that, you type in your password. We're going to go ahead and do that later to kind of show you how it works. What's also kind of nice is down here, he shows you a number 1 means a 1, and I is an uppercase I, just for some of those characters that, you know, kind of look like a different letter or character. Okay, so we saved that. We're going to go ahead and close out of that. In fact, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and close. We're going to go ahead and click next. And basically here again, he says don't store them together. Get them off the computer. This account is your baby. This is your identity on the internet. Store it with care and store it off your computer. So here we go. We are on the main SQRL ID, or the UI. All I'm pretty much going to do is show you how easy it works and what's entailed to logging onto a website. There's not that many test servers out there to try it with because it's currently in development, but Steve Gibson does have one that he runs, which you can see how it works. So let's go ahead and log into GRC's test server. So all that's required, at least on the desktop, is simply to click the URL. And it says my user is YouTube. And we're going to go ahead and type in my password. Computers. I can actually click in there. There we go. Computers are cool. Now, what you're going to notice when I hit OK is it's going to take a while before it's going to recognize that password. You're wondering, well, why the heck is it so slow? This means that if somebody, for instance, were to get a hold of your QR code, your rescue code, and actually imported, or successfully imported your identity into their computer, they cannot brute force it, meaning they cannot try 50 billion passwords at once. They can only try one every 5 seconds. which means brute forcing someone's password is feasibly not worth it. They could have a supercomputer that tries 50 million guesses per second, but this won't let it. It only lets it try one password every 5 seconds. Now, this pops up and says you are about to sign in to grc.com. This is cool. This stops you from being phished. So let's say you go to log in to hackerjoe.com and you want to give your credentials to hackerjoe.com. But when you type in your password, you hit submit, it says grc.com or amazon.com. This verifies that you are logging into the domain you think you're logging into. It stops you from being phished. So if this does not match the account that you think you're logging into, back out. They could forward your credentials onto a different website and log in as you. And this verifies that. So we're logging into grc.com. And this says grc.com. So we're going to hit OK. So what we're going to do now is create a new account on grc.com. And we'll call this one YouTube. Username, just a YouTube test. Update information. I probably didn't like that big long name. We're just going to do YouTube. This is just a test account. We're just going to update, and we're going to log out. So you're kind of wondering, how easy is it to log back in to an account? We simply open it up. Click the QR code. And because we just used our QR code, our master password, but not 5 minutes ago, it says, well, for inconvenience purposes, or for convenience, just enter the first characters. And by first characters, we're talking the first 4. So in this case, my first 4 would be comp. Bam. We're logged in. So let me go ahead and print off that rescue sheet. I'm going to go ahead and show you how easy it is to bring your account that follows you around the internet onto a brand new computer. So I will be right back. Okay, so I have it printed off. And for convenience sake, I'm going to use the QR code to bring in back my identity. If you're setting up a brand new computer that did not have a webcam, you can use that spaghetti text, to import it, plus recovery code. If you have a laptop or an all-in-one computer with a webcam, simply take a picture of the QR code, which we're going to do now. Plus, if you want to import your identity into an Android device or an iOS device, simply take a picture of the QR code, type in your password, and bam, your identity all over the internet has been imported into your mobile device or iPad. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. We're probably going to have a duplicate account because it's already on here, but we're going to go ahead and say import identity from a QR code. Now I had to install my Logitech webcam because the one built onto this computer just would not autofocus to save my life. So you'll probably see me here in a moment. Okay, we're going to go ahead and choose Logitech. There we go. I got to kind of stand up. So here's my QR code, and we're going to go ahead and put that right next to the webcam. Okay, once again, simply just a name to differentiate it from my other one in the list. We'll call it YouTube import. And there we go. Obviously didn't ask us for a password because it will once we go to use the account. And select active identity. There's my YouTube import. And to prove that it works, we're going to go ahead and go to grc.com. Oh, looks like we never logged out. We're going to log out. And there we go. Now we're going to we can delete the account if we want, and we can go ahead and log out from the account. There. So that was just a demonstration of SQRL on the desktop. You can imagine how nice it would be to go to youtube.com, click the QR code, go to Amazon, click the QR code, and your identity basically follows you all over the internet. The cool thing too is the servers you're logging into do not store any username and passwords. So if they get hacked, and you hear all these servers getting hacked and millions of passwords getting stolen, there's nothing really for them to steal. If they get hacked and they steal some information, there's nothing that they can steal from the server which would allow the bad guy to impersonate you on the internet. They would still need that QR code to import onto their computer, the rescue code, or the code of gibberish that you would store outside your computer. It's inherently safer. And it's kind of cool too, so I really hope this catches on. And so this was just a brief demo of SQRL on a Windows desktop. Thanks.